Hello and welcome to my Femininity class. Today's topic is to revive your femininity with a softer appearance. I appreciate your attending. My name is Andrea and I'll be guiding you through today's class. So I'm always curious, how did you hear about today's class and where are you calling in from? Please let me know in the comments because it's always fun to see how our community is growing throughout the world. And I very much appreciate your sharing. All right, so a little bit about me. I'm calling in from Maryland, which is on the East Coast of the United States, and I'm a wife and mother of 4. Each day, my family and I, we live with 12 healthy habits in order to enjoy a better quality of life, and also to be able to support the success of all that God calls us to do. And because these habits have been so transformative to our lives, I do my best to share guidance on how to both implement and stick with each of these healthy habits, so that we can all live truly thriving lives together. So I'll share more about the other workbooks and classes, videos, and support groups that I offer throughout the week. But for now, I do want to go ahead and jump right into today's class. So our goal for today is to discover ways to adorn yourself that highlight and reflect your inner beauty, your personality, and femininity. So while we're together today, we'll consider how our appearance impacts our interactions. We'll discuss ways to soften our appearance. We'll learn tips to go beyond neatly matching to embrace feminine adornment. And of course, we'll do our best to ensure that our feminine appearance also aligns with our personality. So let's start by looking at how our appearance impacts our interactions. When we look good, we feel good. And when we feel good, we interact more confidently. When we feel good about how we look, we can trade any envy for appreciation because we are then able to be content with how we look and not envy others. And instead, we can appreciate, we can start to appreciate the ambiance and the effort that it took for them to get that beautiful look. So our appearance can also impact how others interact with us. So people are just designed. We're designed to respond to visual cues. So if we dress in pajamas, we'll be treated like we're tired. If we dress in old tattered clothing, we might be treated like we're in need. If we dress in a neutral way, then we'll likely be treated in a neutral way. If we dress like a lady, then we'll be treated like a lady. So it's a natural response. Since how we adorn ourselves has such a big impact on our interactions and our outlook, we want to make sure that we look at how to maintain a feminine appearance. So let's look at some ways to soften our appearance. We're going to start with hygiene. So the first and most important step to maintaining a very feminine appearance is to start with a very fresh, well-manicured base. So let's look at some hygiene tips that can help us do just that. So some tips for very feminine looking skin is cleansing daily, exfoliating weekly, moisturizing daily, making sure that we use a very natural deodorant daily, and that we have a very light perfume. I also have some tips for healthy teeth. So you can discreetly swish water after a meal to prevent any staining and also to keep your breath fresh. It's also good to brush twice a day to repair any dental needs that you have and to make sure that you're naturally whitening your teeth as well. As far as our hair hygiene, make sure that you are cleansing and moisturizing so that your hair looks good and smells good and feels good. Be sure to trim any stray body hairs. And of course, this doesn't have to be some painful waxing or plucking. It could just be some little tiny lady scissors or maybe some little lady clippers as well. As far as our nails, they don't always have to be painted, but it is important to clean and trim and file those nails and to also clean underneath with a nice nail brush. And with a fresh manicured base, that'll actually highlight your femininity regardless of how you end up adorning yourself for the day. So speaking of adornment, we want to make sure that we're going beyond neatly matching and actually embracing feminine adornment. So here's a few feminine adornment tips. Now, since the goal is to exude femininity, it's very important to avoid the opposite, which is masculinity. Please keep in mind that the following tips are in general, that these items may at times be able to be used in feminine ways, but it's usually best to avoid items that generally exude any type of masculine vibes. So avoid masculine colors, which are like dark colors, muted colors. We want to avoid fabrics that are very plain, textures that are plain. We want to avoid patterns and stripes and paisley. We want to avoid certain patterns like stripes and paisley and plaid. It's good to avoid styles with collars, button downs, things like hoodies. And we want to choose instead colors that are bright or pale, textures that are smooth and soft. We want to choose patterns that have things like flowers or polka dots, styles with scoop necks, and strapless V-necks, spaghetti straps, etc. And while we're on the topic of how we're presenting ourselves, it's good to treat yourself with a very well-fitting bra that has very good support, and to have seamless undies because we want to make sure that our outfit is all that's seen. It's also helpful to avoid masculine accessories like jewelry that has like a thick chain or a thick band to a watch, or maybe a large clock face on the watch. We want to make sure that we have accessories like, we want to avoid accessories like bandanas or rubber bands as hair ties. We want to make sure that anything we carry with us, any bags, that they're not gray or black or brownish. As far as our wallet, we want to avoid a black or brown or gray wallet, anything that a man would wear. As far as wallets and phone cases, things like that, we want to avoid black, brown, or grayish wallets. And it's good to use some type of makeup. It doesn't have to be a lot. It can be something simple that just accentuates your natural beauty so that you can shine through. All right, so if you're ever unsure about an item, you can always double check by asking yourself, could the color, the fabric, the texture, the style be mistaken for something that's in the men's section at the store? If the answer is yes, it could be yes in any way, then maybe it may be best to just choose something else. But if the answer is a very confident no to all the different aspects, to the color, texture, etc., then know that you found something that will highlight your femininity. So keep in mind that these tips for feminine adornment should only be a secondary complement to your primary style. If you're into crafting and creativity, then let your personal style highlight your very artsy personality. If you're into nature, then a bohemian style might suit you best. Or if you're one for fitness and athletics or adventure, then grab some pretty hiking boots, a cute tennis skirt, or a matching legging and hoodie set. All of this can enable you to look your best while you're having fun. All of these are the final touches that allow your own personal style to shine. Whichever you choose, be sure to highlight your inner beauty as well. So if in your heart you're a modest woman who wants to cover, let your modest adornment reflect your personality and your dedication. A picture is worth 1,000 words, and so is your look. So if you're a quiet person, your style of dress can be your outward expression to the world, telling about who and how you are without having to say a word. And regardless of what you're wearing, it's always very helpful to maintain a quiet and gentle spirit, to have a relaxed face and expression, to have an uplifted posture, and to make sure that you also have a very warm smile. So you may have noticed earlier that I said my family and I, we live with 12 healthy habits in order to enjoy a better quality of life. So then femininity is just one of the 12. We embrace all these healthy habits so that we can have less bad habits to sabotage our efforts to obey God, and more good habits to support our success as we live to do all that Yahweh called us to do. For all these healthy habits, I offer guidance via videos, workbooks, classes, and support group to help you to implement and stick with each habit. So if you could use help with this or any of the 12 healthy habits, just know I'm here to guide you, and you can find details on my website, which is trulythrivinglives.org. All right, so I'd love to know, how did you enjoy today's class, and what questions do you have for me? You can let me know in the comments below, or if you'd like, you can save your questions for support group or for coaching. Either way, I very much look forward to supporting you along your journey. All right, thanks again for attending, and I hope that you have a blessed day.